we cannot rest until we take it back. There is no more important race in our lifetimes than the House of Representatives and taking back the House and getting Speaker Jeffries sworn in next November. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. It is. And so that starts today. It started on Tuesday. And I say this, the future is not just something to experience, it's not something to enjoy. The future is something to manifest. It's decisions, not conditions, that will determine our fate in future. The fact that you chose to be here is testament to that. We have agency. We can shape the future here in Texas. We can shape the future here all across the South and across the United States of America. You have that power. You do. Not Donald Trump. Not Donald Trump. Hardly. It's about all of them. By the way, anyone checked out my Patriot store? Even seen anything on Twitter that we're sending out lately? I'm just saying, if you haven't, you may want to check it out. And word to the wise, we do have, well, and forgive me, but we do have some knee pads. It's a signature series. They're sold out at the moment. The universities and all these law firms and members of certain media organizations, I figured they can use these. Let's keep our eyes wide open to what's at stake and what's going on in the United States of America. These guys want to roll back all the hard-earned progress of last century. They want to put America in reverse. They want to bring us back to a pre-1960s, maybe 1860s world. And you're seeing it not just on voting rights. You're seeing it on civil rights. You're seeing it on women's rights. You're seeing it on LGBTQ rights. We're experiencing it in real time. They're censoring historic facts. They're rewriting history. They're on a banning binge, Bud Light and Big Bird. The United States of America in 2025. And so as we enter, I'll close, on 2026, the 250th anniversary of our founding fathers. Let's restore not just hope and optimism, but let's also stand up as we take back the House. Let's stand up. Let's stand up to those that have been humiliated, those that feel bullied, those that are afraid and scared. Let's stand up for those that have given up, and let's give them hope. Let's stand up for the rule of law. Let's stand up for a system of checks and balances, and let's stand up for our democracy, for all of us. Thank you, Texas. Thank you, Harris County Dems. Thank you, guys.
I know when you guys need a little excitement. I know. But honestly, unless you support Trump, then you can stay on your knees and do it comfortably. That's the point. I'm so surprised. Where did you go, American Edits? I saw you requesting. You're no longer in the request. I was so interested to hearing your opinion on things. I know you came up when Chris was here. I saw you request. If you have something to say, I'm open to you saying it. I mean, but now you guys get it. Why I think it's so funny that he's talking about knee pads. And honestly, if Gavin Newsom's are sold out and you can't get like signed Trump knee pads, you could just get them from other sources. Like, you don't have to. It's okay. You don't have to get your knee pads directly from Gavin Newsom. But I think that is the funniest thing I've ever, and most effective tool ever. And I love how he's always like, they're sold out. Like, I'm not actually selling them, but I'm just letting MAGA know that whilst you're down there, there is a chance that you could get some relief while on your knees. Like, I can't promise it, but if you catch them when they're not sold out, it could be much more comfortable while you're on your knees for Donald Trump. I don't think there is a more effective or more amazing advertising campaign than accusing, and I want to say this gently, insecure, uneducated, excuse me, I didn't say it right. Let me start over. Deeply, deeply insecure. It's like, when you encounter these people that will buy these knee pads or should have a pair, I mean, when I explain insecurity, you don't have to, we are all insecure. I'm insecure right now. When you when you come across one of these MAGA incels, the insecurity is like coming off them in waves. It is like anger, right? Like, they're so insecure about who they are that they are actually punishing and blaming everyone around them. And then somehow, and this is the beauty of the line of logic that collapses in upon itself, whilst being deeply insecure and being like, I'm so angry and I need someone to blame, they're like, but I love Donald Trump. He's the only person telling me the truth. I'm desperate to have sex with a woman, and if I love Donald Trump, will that mean I get to have sex with a woman? No, idiot, it will not. Unless that woman is, I mean, in so much cognitive dissonance that it's not going to be very fun. Because here, and I only say that because the only thing I've ever learned about insecure white men is that, oh, I wish Dr. Danny was here because I'm going to say this wrong, but like, they see sex as something they need to take from someone else, right? Like, truly. And if it comes too easily, they don't want it. And that's, yeah, I don't want to get too much. Actually, I'm not going farther down that road. But again, it's fine, insecure MAGA men. I'm sure at some point in your life, a woman, by complete accident, will find you and accidentally want to have sex with you. Or they never will, based on your beliefs and the history of whatever you've been doing online. It's, it's one or the other. So, okay, I needed to show you that speech. I was going somewhere. I'm always going somewhere. So, that speech happened like yesterday. Or no, wait, excuse me, 2 days ago. And then yesterday, like, Newsom was being interviewed by Jake Tapper, and he was like, so you're selling knee pads? Like, what are you doing? Like, which is my favorite thing, when Jake Tapper is trying to pretend he doesn't understand something, but does.
When you talk about President Trump, you're bravely serious. When you and your staff tweet about President Trump, it's a little different. You've taken on a real
I hate this.
Mockery of the president, mimicking his style of writing, using AI images. I'm not sitting here tutting you. Just let me just go through what you've done in case people don't know.
Yes, you are, Jake Tapper. Jake Tapper, however this revolution ends, you will not survive it. Nobody will ever remember you, or nobody will ever forgive you, maybe. We will all remember you. We'll never forgive you for all these weird appearances in movies and becoming this like weird Hollywood star. And here's the reason why we won't forgive you. because we know that you are a real journalist who, if you feel like it, you can dice someone up for dinner. And since Trump and this weird fascist takeover, you refuse to do. And there's a long list of journalists like that we can attach to this. But yeah, nobody is ever going to forgive you for any of this, Jake Tapper. Please act confused again, as if the producers of your show has not given you all of this information in advance and you don't know what the answers are. I can barely stand it.
Mockery of the president, mimicking his style.
So sorry, I needed to say this. D Woods, thank you so much for the $6.45 for my computer. And I'm sorry it took so long. It's like, if you could live in my brain, it's very neurodivergent. It's like, I know I need to do things, and then sometimes they drift to the back. So you're amazing, and I will never forget this, and I appreciate you. Like, I hate forgetting to give people their flowers. Thank you. And if you would like, I'm replacing a broken computer. If you would like to help me, this is how you can do it.
Of writing, using AI images. I'm not sitting here tutting you. Just let me just go through what you've done, in case people don't know. I'm not. It takes a lot to offend me. Marie Antoinette imagery, calling him a beta, all those tweets, and there's been some very interesting response by the president's favorite network, where they seem very shocked, very upset by the tone in your tweets.
Yeah.
Stop it with the Twitter thing. I don't know where his wife is. If he wants an even bigger job, he has to be a little bit more serious.
I don't know what he's trying to do, but it comes across as childish.
A new performative, confrontational style. Maybe it wins you points with the loony radical base in your party, but America is not going to vote for that record.
No, they said, where's his wife? They want to wash my mouth out with soap, without any situational awareness, that they've said not a word about Donald Trump dressing up as the Pope, Donald Trump putting his picture up on Mount Rushmore, Donald Trump sending insane all-cap tweets that are just madness. And so we wanted to put a mirror up to all of this. And we want to do it with a sense of humor, but also a sense of sobriety, that this is the President of the United States. What's been interesting about this approach is it's also clarifying, because we pulled the curtain back from the...
Say something that Gavin Newsom isn't going to say. What's interesting, Jake Tapper, is that you are the physical embodiment of a lawn chair folding. I've watched you interview Trump and fold like a lawn chair every single time. What's her name? Norm Macdonald, who interviews people for 60 Minutes. I invite everyone, because I've already screen recorded all of it. Norm Macdonald can push back on anyone. This is a very trained journalist who can push back, but she sat there like a limp noodle and let Donald Trump tell lies. The only question all of us have is, do any of you have spines? You don't need to ask Gavin Newsom what he's up to. We're worried about you. What do they call it? The Fifth Estate or whatever? Like, journalists who work for billionaires who own media companies. Where are any of you? You're the ones don't worry about what this guy's doing. Worry about yourself, wet noodle who has let everyone down. Nobody cares about you and your opinions anymore, Jake Tapper. If I see you doing one more cameo in a movie or Netflix series, I will lose my mind.
all-cap tweets that are just madness. And so we wanted to put a mirror up to all of this. And we want to do it with a sense of humor, but also a sense of sobriety, that this is the President of the United States. What's been interesting about this approach is it's also clarifying, because we pulled the curtain back from the wizard. And we've exposed him. Weakness masquerading as strength. That's the origin story with Proposition 50. Why else do you say you're entitled to 5 seats? Why do you do midterm redistricting to ask Greg Abbott for something? Because you know you're going to lose the midterms. And he is underwater. You guys, you run the polls. Every single category. This guy's historically underwater. He is struggling right now, and the outcome of this election has really exposed him in a way. But we certainly want to keep that mirror up on Trump because I do believe this kind of humor and clarity, I think.
I don't want to do this, and Don, I don't know why you would make a statement like that, but men absolutely know what sexual assault feels like. If you are not aware that men are sexually assaulted all the time, then I can't help you. Men absolutely know what sexual assault feels like. And I almost feel like you must know in order to make a weird statement like that. Like, yeah, now you're being faced with people in the comments telling you men telling you they've been the victim of SA. And I want to believe that you're saying that as some sort of weird defense mechanism, but it is absolutely delusional to make a statement that men do not know what SA feels like. Like, I bet you know, Dawn. It's really painful for you to, I'm trying to think of another line of logic where any person would say that. It's okay, Dawn. Here, let me request you up and you can tell us how much you don't know what it's like. I did request for Dawn to come up to explain to us how much no men know what it's like to be sexually assaulted. It does not seem like he is accepting the invite, but I do want to say I have invited. Yeah, like, are you okay? Like, and let me just say, by are you okay, I mean, I assume, based on that statement, that you can't read. You must also be blind and deaf. So you can't use Braille. You can't listen to documentaries be read to you. Do you know anything about the Catholic Church? Have you ever been an evangelical? Your real story. I just listened on Apple News, who's now producing like audio for their articles about the start, because I'm a Division I athlete and I've always been very vocal about the amount of abuse. Like, you guys cannot imagine. You think you're like, oh, I got a full ride scholarship, everything's good. Nope. Here comes the unbelievable abuse that you will now be subjected to, which is physical but also sexual. Like, just say, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm an idiot. To say men have never experienced sexual abuse makes me feel like you have and you're in denial, and that's super weird. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Like, weirdo. Do never invalidate another person's experience with your weird insecurity and lies. Yeah, let's all ask, exactly. Thank you, Jeff. Let's all ask Jim Jordan if men experience sexual abuse. I could spend 5 hours and probably be sued after explaining to you about Division I NCAA sexual abuse and how it's like, you think it's just on your team? Oh, no. For coaches from other teams can now sexually abuse you. Trust me, I think every day about the lawsuits I should file against my experience in Division I athletics. You are a idiot. Never again show up in my chat and say, hey, I want to be like, no men understand what it's like to be abused. Like, let me just give you two options. Either you are denying what has happened to you desperately, or you are completely ignorant of reality. And this is why no men can speak about their experiences, because of idiots like you. yeah, men are always taking things from women. We don't know what it's like to have something taken from us. Well, every man I went to division would call, well, not every, but trust me, depends on what type of predator is around you. And most of them, and I'm saying this, like, I could give a psychology talk on types of predators. It's not like there are 3 PDOs, and I could get into that, which is different than people who want to, trying to think of the ways I can say this. You're an idiot. You have no idea what you're talking about. And you should never speak again. Unless you want to accept my invitation to tell me how men never know what it's like to be essayed. Tell that to the Jerry Sandusky football camp children. I'm sure they will figure that out. It just depends on what type of disordered brain you're dealing with, right? Like, some people just want power, and over little kids, that's easier. Some people have some sort of attraction, right, to whatever it is. It just depends. And I would invite you to read a book and never, ever say again that men don't experience SA. Because that's why they can't speak about it. It's because of idiots like you. And I don't want to say idiot. I actually think probably you're terrified to say the truth. Because that's a very weird thing to yell out in the chat. Okay. Now, if you didn't, I think this is very important. If you didn't hate John Fetterman before, I just need to show you something so we can all be clear. Of these hateful eight, if we have to, not have to, we're going to get rid of them all, and we never need to forget their betrayal. But can I just play a clip for you of John Fetterman, yelling at women on The View? He is the worst of the worst, and also an idiot all at the same time. By the worst, he's like an idiot toddler with a head injury who's like, I don't need a lecture from you. Yeah, you do. You need to be in permanent timeout, idiot.
Poll found more Americans on both sides of the aisle blaming Republicans. Even Marjorie Taylor Greene blamed the GOP. As you mentioned, Democrats had big wins last week, so you had momentum. Why give in now? Why bring a butter knife to a gunfight? Are you willing to gamble that the GOP will negotiate on health care in good faith once the government reopens? Because if that gamble is wrong, 500,000 Pennsylvanians that you represent, their health care costs will skyrocket if you are wrong. And I believe you are wrong.
Well, first of all,
disrespects that woman. He is mathematically wrong. It's not up for debate. He's wrong. Let me just be clear. If he cares about the lives and the ability to access healthcare from now until January 30th, he's wrong. Period.
MTG is quite literally the last person in America that I'm going to take advice or to get their kinds of my leadership and values from. And now if Democrats are celebrating crazy pants like that, then that's on them. And now I don't need a lecture. I don't need a lecture from whether it's Bernie or the governor in California, because they are representing very deep blue kinds of populations. And a lot of those things were part of the extreme. And now remember, what really needs to win, the big win, is involving my state and other states and those things. And why have we arrived here after the election a year ago? We got to forget some of the things that cost us that election. Or now, for me, it's like, that's why I'm trying to remind people that kinds of the extremism, we can't return to those kind of things and realize we need to find a way forward. And I would like to, rather than cite MTG, I'm going to cite one of the new governor-elects.
Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. We have to bless his heart, but can you? So I'm sorry. I just want to be clear. If anybody heard a sentence that made sense, it is time to type that sentence in the chat, because I must have missed it the first time I was recording it, and now that I'm hearing it, I'm not sure if this man is okay. Like, he's not, I don't know. Like, bless his heart. None of that made sense. Like, you said nothing for 2 minutes. And let's listen. I say that because this clip is 2 minutes and 35 seconds. So, for the first 2 minutes, sir, you said nothing that makes sense in my brain. And I am pretty smart. So if you said anything, follow the line of logic, I'd be like, okay, he's on it, guys. He's making sense. Okay, let's listen to the last 35 seconds. Maybe he'll bring it home.
Saying that my election is not a green light to continue the shutdown, because I promise you, this isn't a political game. It is viewed by many of us, but the reality is 42 million Americans now not sure where their next meal is going to come from, and because we vote like that, or people that haven't been paid for 5 weeks now, and that kinds of chaos.
Poll found.
Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed it. Nailed that none of us know. You did a 4-minute interview and nobody knows what you said. And that is terrifying. Look, this guy is like, let me tell everybody how they should feel about things. I actually have no idea. Like, are you, sir, okay? Pennsylvania, get rid of this man as soon as physically possible. We need to eject him from, I can't believe that we have to listen to him speak. It seems like a punishment. But actually, just remember, if we did not elect him, Dr. Oz would be in the Senate yelling about euthanasia. So actually, I think at the time that we were faced with it, we did the right choice. But now, looking back, when I have to listen to this idiot yelling, can't stand another minute. Okay, do you remember how in Pennsylvania there was this guy running for attorney general named Jay Jones? And I don't know, I haven't read all the text. Like, he said something about this guy's worse than Pol Pot, and people like him. I'm trying to get it right, but again, I am paraphrasing and I can't remember. He said, like, people like him only learn lessons when they personally suffer or something. I think that's what he said. Like, meaning we all have to suffer, or people like him, I think, meaning MAGA Republicans, until, like, someone personally that they know unalives, they will never, like, feel it or something. That's what I got. I just wanted to play this clip because I found it personally validating of Jasmine Crockett talking about how Jay Jones was elected anyways. Because, and before you hear her talk about this, I'm just going to say something. If I have to hear one more MAGA Republican, because that's the entire Republican. You are all MAGA Republicans now. You're all sham, grifter liars. And if I have to hear one more MAGA Republican pretending for 1 second that you care about the well-being of anyone, and I mean that, any single human being besides yourself, I will throw up on you.
What the Republicans have been effective at doing is they love to throw a bomb, right? And usually the Democrats will scurry and go ahead and spread the news about the bomb, right? I am so appreciative of our party because they are kind of like, you know what, we not falling for that anymore. And hopefully we can keep up this energy. If you remember, there were a lot of people saying that Jay Jones was not going to pull off the attorney general position in Virginia. And there were Democrats saying, oh my God, he sent this terrible text message. He needs to resign and not run. And we not have anybody.
Oh, 10 years ago, he would have been forced to resign. He would have been forced to drop out of the campaign.
Listen, there were still Democrats that were talking about it. And my deal was, say what you got to say, denounce what he did. But in this moment, do you trust this Republican attorney general to stand up when it is the state legislature that decides that they need to fight fire with fire and give us more seats out of Virginia to go to the U.S. House because they're trying to balance out this power struggle that Trump is on? Or when it comes down to Trump deciding that he's not going to send appropriated dollars to the state of Virginia, do you think that the Republican AG is going to be the one to sign up to go and get those dollars? No. So at the end of the day, you got to put your mask on first. And so you can say he is not my favorite person. And I just appreciated that the Democrats got rid of kind of the purity test. You can have whatever issues you have with him. But at the end of the day, you got to make sure you're looking out for you. And I was very excited to see that he was able to pull off the win. Not that I know him. I've never met him. I've never talked to him. But because it seems like people did not get caught up in the distractions. And that is what the Republicans are very good at. There is no way that the Republicans get to point fingers while we have the most corrupt president ever in the history of this country sitting on his wannabe throne. Absolutely not. We got to do what we got to do. And we may not necessarily have perfect soldiers in this fight, but we need fighters, and we can't afford to cede any with the.
That is my point, and this is why I've always struggled being on the left. Not because I don't believe in every ideal the left has, and I mean this like in the nicest possible way before I start saying crazy things. But if you would like to win this battle, if you don't want to lose all your rights to exist, then listen up. The only problem I've ever had with the left is the purity test. Well, no, it's twofold. Number one, the purity testing. Number two, you guys are all soft. And listen, my dream is to grow up in a family that reinforced me, that hugged me, that made me feel loved, that told me I can do anything that I want, and they would support me. But what you have to understand is that you are fighting against monsters who have never been hugged in their lives. They've never been told they can succeed. These are people who lack empathy. They are clearing people. They are bulldozing entire sections of people. If you do not stop saying, what is that? Well, she amended it now. I have the clip somewhere. Michelle Obama's like, I said we take she amended her, we're taking the high road. The biggest fear I have when I see monsters leaving the left is who's going to oppose them now. If all the monsters are on the right, and by monsters, I mean, I'm just going to say this, and there's a large chance no one's going to know what I'm talking about, but the people who do will. There are people with disordered brains, and we are capable of horrible things. We were either raised by people without empathy and abused by them, or all of that. And we became either people who still had empathy but were very angry, or people without empathy. And if you think that you can exist and be like, everything's going to be great, we're all just going to vote for the right thing, we all just care, we love people, everything's going to turn out okay if I just hope for it, you've lost track of what is actually happening. The monsters, the disordered brains are consolidating on the right. And what I'm telling you is, It will take much more than, I just hope everything is going to be okay, to oppose these people. Truly. Truly. And like, here's, oh God, I'm going to try to say this without saying it. You know that guy that used to always be on Facts Still Matter, like Steve's Lives, who now it turns out he was victimizing college students on a campus? Like, I actually, well, no. He's a disgusting, weirdo human being who I clocked from the very beginning. But the sad part is, his value before if he could not be a whatever the fuck, because that was prolific and that was going on for a long time. But I'm saying, like, we need people who will fight the right. These people do not care about empathy. And let me just say something. It's less important, because I was reading psychological studies on this, like on malignant narcissists, like at the Nuremberg trials, who then got all these people who probably had empathy to follow and do horrible things. Like, that is what Trump is doing. Trump is training up a generation of males to deny empathy. Well, let me just be clear. This was the start of Western civilization, but Trump is accelerating that process. So if you think you're going to hope your way into things being better, if you think it's going to be okay, like it will not be okay. Have you seen Ordinary Men? I don't know. It sounds familiar, but it's not popping up for me. Wait, did someone request? What is happening? Oh, someone's... See, I recognized a person requesting. I don't know who they are, though. Whatever. You have 10 seconds. I'm not doing this again. I get so bored. Do you have anything of value to say? And I mean that seriously.
I just wanted to clarify something. I think a lot of us in the chat are confused. I feel like you said something about Steve was a deplorable human being, and I wasn't sure who you were talking about.
Who?
You said something about Steve, and then you said
what Steve do you think I'm talking about?
Facts don't matter is where my head went.
No, facts still matter.
Or facts still matter. Sorry, facts still. Sorry.
Of course I'm. Yeah, I'm shitting on one
Not
of my best
him.
friends. Are you just trying
to
come up here and talk to me? I think anybody
No, I promise.
who knows me.
I was super. Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Are you lonely?
I'm not. I promise.
Okay, so
I have 3 daughters and a wife. And yeah, I just wanted to clarify. Yeah.
You want to clarify? Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Like, you want to clarify something that is idiotic. Yeah. Well, don't. Okay, everyone's writing it in the chat. Well, there it goes. I would like to be clear for legal purposes that I technically did not say anyone's name. If the general public writes his name over and over, and then maybe people understand who he is now, that is not something I did technically. I just said a guy who was on Steve's Live. But yeah, like, imagine that though. Imagine how many people loved that guy for so long, and then it turned out that he did it to me too, by the way. Nothing creepily physical, but I think in terms, I never admitted to it when it happened, but yeah, he tried it with me. We had like a 2-hour-long phone conversation, and I called Steve and I was like, this guy's a predator. He's like, what? And I'm like, I'm telling you, this man is a predator. That's how it all started. That's how all of that I was like, I'm telling you, Steve, This man is a predator. He reminds me of my mother, who's trying to constantly manipulate me. If you don't know who we're talking about, scroll back up. Many people wrote his name down. You can just scroll back through the comments. I'm not going to say anyone's name on a live. I'm going to end up being sued. I already feel gross. But yeah, that man is a disgusting person who used their intelligence. And after, I was like, yeah, Steve, he is very clearly a predator. I had one conversation, and I'm telling you, he's a predator. And after it all started coming out, and everybody was like, oh yeah, he did this to me too. He did this to me too. He lied to all of us. Oh God, I shouldn't even. I mean, he lied to us not to me. I knew who he was, but I'm not going to name people. This is the problem. This is why you should listen to me. I was born and bred to oppose narcissists. And I'm not saying people who act like narcissists. I'm saying people with narcissistic personality disorder. I was raised by one. A genius one. It's like I see them and I'm like, yep. And what people don't get, where we went wrong with this guy we're all talking about, is everyone's like, he said sorry, everything's gonna be okay now. And I'm like, oh, did he tell you sorry? Is that what he said? And then he popped up at Comic-Con with another victim. Like, there is no sorry. Like, these people have to feed their supply over and over again. It never stops. Period. It never stops. He's out there somewhere continuing to victimize people. And that's what you have to understand. If you truly understand the psychology of people with narcissistic personality disorder, don't be dumb enough to say, oh, he said sorry and he's going to when everyone, and I won't say their names, but everyone here knows, when they were like, he told us he's going into rehab, that's where he is. I found him at Comic-Con. Like, oh, did he tell you he checked himself into a rehab? Is that what happened? Like, and that's why I get so frustrated when I try to explain to people what's wrong with Trump. There is no healing. There is no lesson. There is no, it stops. These people never stop until you stop them. And I can keep saying it. I've been saying it since I did lives with Jay. They do not stop until you stop them. So we can all decide as a community when we stop Trump, but I promise you, if you think for any second that now he's learned his lesson, everything's going to be okay, he said he checked himself into rehab, you're an idiot and you don't understand. And the only reason I know is because I grew up in it. Like, I grew up observing someone much smarter than Trump doing the same thing. They don't stop. They never stop. Ever. So until we decide to put this to bed, it will never stop. And held accountable. Oh, well, yes, I would also like accountability, but I don't want to disappoint you. They're not in Trump's mind, in my mother's mind, who's much smarter than Trump. There's not going to be accountability in the way that they're never going to admit to anything. Yeah, like, look at what he is doing. He committed all these crimes. He is now pardoning people that helped him try to overturn a federal presidential election. Do you think accountability is coming? Like, what would ever make you think that Trump is going to admit to what he's done? And I'm saying that as someone who's read every court document. It's very clear that Trump is guilty of every single thing he has ever been accused of. I have read every single page of every court document of every trial Trump has ever been involved with. He is guilty of it all. Unless some sort of alien ship came down and framed him. There is no other way. He's not guilty of all of it. Now, let me just think about it. Has he ever taken accountability? He's not going to. Just like I might have to smother my mother with a pillow on her deathbed to get her to admit to the things she's done to me. Like, there is zero accountability from these people. Period. Don't waste your breath. That's why I go to therapy twice a week, so I can work through it. They will never, ever be sorry. They're not sorry. But here's my encouragement. They're toddlers. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, if you understand the psychological background of they're toddlers underneath. So you can F with them all the time. Like, it's like, okay, mother, if you're going to mess with me, then every moment of your life is going to be very uncomfortable. They're angry toddlers covered up by this grandiose shell where they're like, I'm God. They feel insecurity. They feel anger. So you can drive them nuts. That's my advice. But if you think like suddenly Trump's going to be like, I did something wrong, that day is never coming. But you can drive them nuts. Like, and that's what you saw from Trump. When Trump was being held accountable and had to be in those courtrooms and he was falling asleep and farting, like that was like his, like, I'm an angry toddler. And I mean that literally. If you don't understand how and I don't mean weird people you think are narcissists. I mean actual people with narcissistic personality disorder. Like, they are never going to admit the truth. They are infants. That's what happens. Early in life, it's infants who were abused and they're frozen in place. Underneath the grandiose shell, Trump is an angry, overtired infant. And once you understand that about these people, it's actually funny to watch them go. Because it's like, oh, it's time for his nap. Like, oh, do you need a nap, little guy? But no, not sociopaths. Sociopaths are different. Sorry, I'm just some Delta Dawn said. Trump is not a sociopath, in my opinion. Well, let me just be clear. He's a malignant narcissist, which makes him probably slightly psychotic. But sociopaths don't feel anxiety. I think when I watch Trump, like, when someone tests him, it's like you could see he's like, I don't know. He reminds me a lot of my mom. That's all I'm saying. I think when people come at him, you could see that it's like he's like boiling inside, which I don't think is very traditional of a sociopath. I don't think sociopaths feel anxiety. Anyways, this is just my idea. You have no idea what you are confirming for me about a dream. I'm confirming dreams to you, lad. Well, maybe you need to figure out why you're having that dream. Maybe he has shark eyes. Don't shit on sharks, D. God, how dare you? They are trying to survive. That is the worst thing you've done. Leave the sharks alone. They are. Look into the cetaceans, the killer whales. I love killer whales. They're my passion in life. They like walked out of the water like, hey, we're gonna get lungs going, and then like our time on land has taught us that this shit sucks. We're crawling back into the ocean and we have had it. Like, cetaceans are the best. I know. God, D. No, I'm just kidding. D's my new favorite person in these lives. I'm going to go now because I need to take some more antibiotics and get sleep. But I don't know what is coming next for all of us. Actually, let me show you one more thing. As long as we're all still here. And by one more thing, I might mean 5. Just kidding. What is wrong with my finger? Okay, let me show... Wait, oh, wrong. Nope. Sorry, I'm trying to... Okay. Oh, I could not. Okay, I knew it. Oh, thank God. I know. It's like, okay, so I know no one's going to be as passionate as I am about this, but Susan Collins is a monster. Wait, hold on. Johnny, thank you for the super chat. Long time no see. I'm in the hospital with leukemia. My first time saying publicly I was essayed. And you're in the hospital with Luke. Johnny, for as strong as you are such a sweetheart. That monsters have never been hugged point teared me up. Johnny, I hope you're okay. I'm sorry. It's hard for me to monitor everything going on. Johnny, I hope you're okay. I'm not going to go into percentage rates of people who survive leukemia, but this is good. You have a good shot. And I don't know if that makes you feel better, but I look into things like this. His name is Johnny Longtrail. He's on the YouTube chat, but also he's like always in like on TikTok as well. Like, there's a very high recovery rate after chemo from leukemia, and I'm sorry I know that, but I had someone that went through it. A child. I don't know if that makes you feel better or I should shut up. Oh, I'm going to assume the latter. But Johnny, thank you for being here, and also with the essay thing, yeah, I think a lot of men have dealt with that, and then idiots are like, I've never experienced that. Well, congratulations to you, idiot. We're all here for you, Johnny, and we love you. Okay, wait, I didn't say this. I cannot stand Susan Collins of Maine, who is a Republican senator, who anytime we need to vote on healthcare or things that matter, she's like, oh, I'm lost. I don't know. I'm just like, I don't know what's going to happen. So I'd like to introduce you to the very angry Marine who is running against her. His name's Graham Planter. And it's like, I'm so excited for Susan Collins to never hear from her again.
The Democratic Party at the leadership level has really just become entirely feckless. There is a an inability to recognize what power is, an inability to wield power, an inability to even, frankly, have a theory of power. And I think people are fed up with this. What happened last night is a failure of leadership in the most clear terms. Senator Schumer is the minority leader. It is his job to make sure that his caucus is voting along the lines that are going to be good for the people of the United States. He could not maintain that. That he is just completely unable to rise to this moment in American history. And today I held a press conference in Brewer, Maine, and 200 people showed up because they are all angry about the exact same thing. They're angry that the Democratic Party has ceased being capable of fighting back. If the Democratic Party was made up of the people in it, it would be the party we want it to be. If it represented the feelings and the desires and the urges and the needs of the people who are the membership of the party, it would be the party of the working class. It would be the party of labor unions. It would be the party of fighting back, building power, of creating big structural change again. It is the fact that it is just an element of leadership that is in control of the party at this moment in history that is failing to do any of those things. And we got to get rid of them. They have to go. The Democratic Party at the leadership level.
I love this man because if anyone ever needed to go, it was Susan Collins. Let's wish Susan Collins a farewell. I cannot, truly. And that is, what he says is if leadership reflected the base, things would be very different. And that's honestly, in my belief, why the House carries a very different energy. Every 2 years, they have to face their constituents. They have to say, hey, I'm here to answer for my votes. Everything I thought was a good idea, let me explain it to you. And we have people in the Senate, we don't even know why they're there. They're living effing skeletons at this point. Oh, wait. And let me say something, because now that I'm going to keep going. Sheldon Whitehouse made this video because I was looking for somebody to make sense of things. I want everyone to hear this because I thought what he said made actually a lot of sense. I love Sheldon Whitehouse. He's the best.
I know that a lot of people are feeling some pretty strong feelings today, feelings of frustration, even betrayal. I have somewhat the advantage of, from being in the Senate.
This is the point. So listen to this, because this is why I do so much research. I listen to thousands of clips and I compile this. So I just want to be clear, and you're going to hear him admit it. They all knew. They knew on Friday. That's why, and I can show you the videos. I have them all screen recorded. I was so confused what was going on in the Senate on Friday when Ruben Gallego, Mark Kelly, those were my Senate. I was like, what are they doing? They were yelling on the Senate floor. It's because they knew what was coming. They all knew. We just didn't know. They knew. Sorry, it pisses me off.
Feelings today, feelings of frustration, even betrayal. I have somewhat the advantage of, from being in the Senate, being a couple of days ahead of everybody, seeing that this was going to happen. So I've had a bit more time to process it than people who discovered it yesterday. And while I think everybody is entitled to their feelings on this, and I don't want to derogate those in any way, we need to remember the battle that we're in. And every ounce of energy that we put into fighting with each other, fighting with other Democrats, is energy that is lost to the fight to defend our country from Trump and MAGA. Two things that are coming up that are really important. One is that in December, there will be a vote on extending the Affordable Care Credits that we fought for. That gives us from now until then weeks to hammer the Republicans so hard that we actually get a good Affordable Care Credits bill. Not because we trust them, not because they want to get it done, but because in those weeks we have continued to amp up the pressure on them to where they have no choice. If instead of doing that in those weeks, we're fighting with each other, we've missed an opportunity for a big win for people we care about who receive Affordable Care Credits. The second, this gets a little bit boring, so I won't go into it in detail, but as the appropriations bill moves forward, we can bake in increases above Trump's budget to the agencies we care about, guardrails against Trump's mischief, and assurances and even hooks to make sure that the funding that we've appropriated actually gets spent and not blockaded by Russ' vote. That we have until January 31st to do, when the current continuing resolution would expire. And then if they haven't done those things, we can go right back to insisting that they have to do them or face another shutdown. So really the sum of my message is, whatever your feelings are, I validate them. Great, feel that way. But we've got a battle on our hands, and it's a battle whose real game day is November a year from now, when we have the chance to throw Speaker Johnson out of the Speaker's office and put the Senate under Democratic control and put real obstacles in the way of Trump's corruption and misconduct. That is the prize on which we must keep our eyes. And whatever we may feel, strategy to get that done, I think, is our now highest obligation. United and fierce, we can do that.
They don't. Sheldon, God. Look, it's hard for me with people in the Senate because it's like, I don't think you're going to suffer one bit in between now and a year later. I think there are many people, and I say this because statistical analysis proves it, that aren't going to make it through this. That's why everyone who resigned from the CDC resigned. They're like, this is a plan of euthanasia, like of eugenics. You are culling a population. So, but yeah, I think Sheldon Whitehouse is saying, here's what we have control of, right? And for that reason, I do love him. It's just hard for me, like, and can I say, I was not going to say this, but I'm going to say it out loud since not a lot of people are here to witness it. I think that this comes from my experience of watching the U.S. Senate and how they operate. I do think, like, part of why those 8 senators defected, not to say they didn't have personal reasons or they weren't being blackmailed, I don't know, but I do think, like, there is this, like, I'm trying to think how to say this, strategy in the Senate of let everyone find out, right? I truly believe that. They have this strategy that I could point out times in the past where I feel like the Democrats have used it. But for me, a poor person who was raised with nothing, let everyone find out means I die and I'm starved to death. So I find it horrific. But I could point out times in the past where the strategy has been, fine, let the Republicans steal all their food. Let them die. And maybe this is just, and maybe when we come back to the table, they'll get the point. But there's not that many of them left that operate like this. I think it's delusional, but I think in some ways, for whatever reason, outside of the reason I just explained to you, except for, I would like to point out, none of these people are up for re-election or are absolutely retiring. So you tell me, Is Chuck Schumer's plan that people suffer, and then when we come back to the table, people are angrier, people are dying more, their children are starving, and then the Democrats have more leverage? I'm telling you, I've watched it happen before. And I suspect that Chuck Schumer is trying to starve rage into people. Chuck Schumer, regardless of what happens, he needs to be gone forever. Forever. Chuck Schumer, you are leaving this place. We need to fight tooth and nail for every person, for every second, or I don't want to be here. But I've seen them do this before. And they're like, hey, let's let them suffer so they'll learn the lesson. And then next time when we come back to the table, people will be angry or more desperate. We'll have more people on our side. Yeah, this is Chuck Schumer's like game strategy. It's idiotic. Yeah. Oh, he doesn't need to retire. He needs to be forced out. Chuck Schumer is a monster. Chuck Schumer is a person who watched Palestinians be starved to death and cheered it on. There is no exception to this rule. Chuck Schumer leaves. Every one of these people that decided this was a good idea, they need to leave. Period. And I don't know about you guys, but I have a very long memory. Oh, they're not up for re-election until 2028. Well, I'm going to save all my money and I'm going to plant myself in their districts and I'm going to campaign against them because I will never, ever forgive you letting children starve for a year in order to make the point, hey, it'll get better. And that's what the Democrat... I just want to explain this to people who don't understand it. The Democratic Party has been largely passive, and the way they gain power is by watching atrocities happen that the Republican Party commits and being like, see? How awful is this? Look at all the starving people. Look at all the dying people. Look at all the people without upward mobility. Is this what you want? That is what they are doing. I've watched them do this for 3 decades. They don't believe. And these are the older weirdos who need to get the fuck out. They don't see the point in fighting directly. So they're like, just let the monsters take hold. Let them starve everyone. Let them shit on everyone. Let them shit on brown people. Let them shit on black people. Let them shit on gay people. And they'll crawl back to us. That is Chuck Schumer's strategy. I promise you. That's what it is. I only see the world in patterns. I don't need to hear people speak. I just see patterns. So if you're wondering why, this is the old Chuck Schumer special. We give them what they want. They terrorize the population. People die. People starve. People have nothing. There's racism. There's bigotry. There's misogyny. And then they crawl back to us. And all we need to do is get rid of this shit. And I know no one's ever going to hear me say this, but I promise you it's true. I never miss a pattern. Ever. This is what he's doing. Chuck Schumer, it is not 1989. Get the fuck out of here, you fucking loser. Sorry, that's how I feel about all of it. That if you want to know what Chuck Schumer is doing and all the octogenarian geriatric weirdos who are following him, and that's it. I would never say that about Bernie. At least he can identify the truth. That's what it is. They're like, hey, people aren't into it yet. They need to suffer more. I've watched this happen since I was a child, and then they'll crawl back. So let us never, from this moment forward, forget who Chuck Schumer is. He needs to go. Period. And honestly, I never thought I'd say this. Actually, I don't know if I should. I'm going to hold off on that. Not going to say it yet because he's controlling the House very nicely. But this shit has to go. And anyone that thinks a humane negotiation strategy is, let's give them to the end of January. And when enough people have died, things will change. I will never, ever forgive that. Chuck Schumer needs to leave Congress post haste. My cat's name is Chuck. Chuck, your cat can stay. We love cats. I love cats. I'm going to go let Mr. Mittens purr on my chest and tell me everything's going to be okay. That's my barometer of everything's okay. Mr. Mittens purrs on my chest every night. And then I'm like, okay, I've done a good job. Yeah, we should never forget, and let's never forget. And like, listen, if we need people's votes to get out of this nightmare, like whoever, never forget. We will, and trust me, I don't ever, starting in my childhood, I have never forgotten any person who has wronged me, and I think we should remember. So if we ever get out of this fascist takeover and some stragglers like, oh, I'm with you guys, bitch, no, you're not. Like, you weren't with us from the beginning, and you absolutely are not with us now. So let's all create a spreadsheet of people who we will never forget have betrayed us. Chuck Schumer, pack your bags. You are leaving forever, you creepy APAC loving weirdo. Like, and oh wait, I never said this, but I don't think I ever said this out loud, but I think since there's only 342 people, it's not that crazy to say. Let me just tell you something. I have one of my areas of study, if I could get a master's in it, it would be Mitch McConnell. Do you understand, like, my rage when I heard Chuck Schumer being like, I'm voting no. I have no idea what's going on. I'm opposed to all this. Do you understand what a non-pathological liar who was the minority leader of the Senate would do if there were 8 people who were breaking ranks and he hadn't coached them and orchestrated the entire thing? Let me tell you how, well, some would call him Cocaine Mitch, but that's another story. Do you know what would happen? He would say, I'm stripping you of all your committees, all of the funding that comes from me that I can turn off for your staff, for your parking. You will lose all of it. I've seen him do it over and over and over. Oh, you think you had an idea outside of voting with me? Then every single thing you enjoy in this building has turned off. No one will ever look at you again unless you vote with me. That's what and I'm describing to you something I heard happened when Mitch McConnell was a minority leader. Mitch McConnell is a stronger minority leader than Mike Johnson is a majority leader. Like, if you stop it, Chuck. And that's probably the worst. My own personal pet peeve is people insulting my intelligence. You had no leverage. There's nothing you could do. You orchestrated the entire thing. As that creepy woman said, after facing too much pressure, and now you're still being like, well, I'm a no vote. I will spend the rest of my life making sure Chuck Schumer leaves politics. And all of the rest of us should as well. He orchestrated this entire thing. He has gaslit us all. And it is 150% unforgivable. Truly unforgivable. Cocaine Mitch would have been like, hey, your car is being repoed right now. You will now, I put you on the no-fly list. like he would have he'd be like, your life has been turned off. I just had sex with your wife in an adjoining room and it's over. I've taken over your family. I'm their stepdad. Like, and Chuck Schumer's like, this is so strange that 8 people would just come up out of nowhere and decide to vote against me. Yeah, if only there were people who weren't fucking idiots. Yeah, hi, I'm one of those people. Chuck Schumer needs to get the last pair of knee pads that Gavin Newsom is selling, because he's super old and it's going to be very painful for his knees on the floor. Nobody will ever forget this. Chuck Schumer, you are a fucking loser, a coward, and a liar. At every turn, you had the chance to tell the truth. And you continued lying. I'm sorry, I don't want to do this to him, but like, absolutely not, creeper. Absolutely not. Like, just go away. You could have just left. Chuck, retire. Just say, I have no idea what I'm doing anymore. I don't know how to compete in this environment, and I need to just stage left. But nope, you're still continuing to gaslight people very terribly. It's embarrassing. And pretend that you're not an idiot. You are an idiot. And you're an embarrassment to us all. He is. He has to go. Because none of this, and I mean that, I have studied Mitch McConnell, the turtle Mitch McConnell's. Like, he is, I don't agree with like his views, but that man was a mob boss. He was like, I'm sorry, I had a rumor that you might have whispered you don't agree with me. I'm ruining your life now. I am deporting your children. Like, literally, that's how Mitch McConnell was like, I will end you. If you even have a thought of voting against me, your life's over. Like, and same with Nancy. Same with Nancy Pelosi. You don't go to the floor without the votes. Now we have creepy Chuck Schumer who's like, I voted no. Like, get out. This is the last year anyone will accept you here. And I mean that. And let me be clear how they're like, we can't split our energy between hating Democrats. I can. Chuck Schumer needs to leave, and I have exactly enough energy to also oppose MAGA. It doesn't take that much energy. They're not smart. Like, it takes a small amount of energy to oppose idiots. But truly, both things can exist at the same time. Chuck Schumer needs to leave, and the rest of you eight, you're going too. But we need your votes for now. And I literally could unfurl a scroll. I literally have it in my journal. You're all leaving. All of you are leaving. It's just not prudent to votes in the Senate for right now. Chuck, you're going. You're going first. Just as a lesson. And Hakeem Jeffries, if you have been given so much buddy by AIPAC that you can't say that Chuck Schumer's a cuck, you're going too, weirdo. That's not a great idea, though. That's not good for strategy. He should probably hang around because he clearly has the respect and control over the House. But the weird way he would not endorse Mamdani and continues to act like very clear things that are happening aren't happening, we've got our eye on you too. But as long as you can wrangle the entire House, which is full of people whose brains don't work, and keep them voting along your party lines, then you're doing something good. We'll allow it, but eye on you too. Like, we have got to sever the relationships in Congress with AIPAC and whoever has bribed them. Schumer is gone. Forever. He needs to go. Same thing with Harris when you knee deep in that game. Harris as in Kamala Harris? I don't think Kamala. I can't wait to see Mamdani making his progress. Listen, I want to say something. If Mamdani does nothing, this is a hypothetical question, actually. If Mamdani accomplishes nothing he said he would, do you blame him? No, you can't blame him. Let me just be clear. Donald Trump promised people insane things. He's delivered on, let me just count up the things that Donald Trump said he was going to do. And we are talking about someone in the executive branch who has just been granted king powers by the Supreme Court. He's done not a goddamn thing for anyone. So I'm only saying that because Kathy Hochul, I know I could play these clips and I haven't, but she's like, I'm not gonna raise taxes in New York. Well, okay, cool, weirdo. Don't help Mamdani meet his goal. That doesn't mean he doesn't want that to happen. It means you're a weirdo. Yeah. So I just want everyone to start recognizing, like, it's the same. Here's my comparison. When you hear every single day on Fox News them being like, Obamacare doesn't work. Let me just be clear. There are, in MAGA, you guys can't read or do research or find anything. But if you read the original plan of Obamacare, it was Medicare for all. And then what changed? Did Obama suddenly say, I love corporations and I love billionaires and I love lobbyists and I'd like to change this all? No, it was the Republicans who chopped it up and said, this is the only way it's passing. So every time you hear an idiot Republican on Fox being like, and Obamacare doesn't work and it's broken. Yeah, you guys broke it. That's the problem with negotiation, is what it started out as, it becomes something different. And I think, like, they were like, Mamdani's never going to be able to deliver on this stuff because Kathy Hochul won't raise taxes. Well, then he can join the ranks of Donald Trump, who's never delivered on a single promise he has ever made. And all of you remain in delusional cognitive dissonance. Name me a thing Donald Trump delivered on. Besides violating all of our constitutional rights. Besides violating constitutional rights, what has Trump ever in his life delivered upon? Let me help you. Fucking nothing. So if you're bribing Kathy Hochul, if you're leveraging her, if you're like, don't help him make poor people's lives easier, that's pretty weird. That's a pretty weird thing to do. He did deliver racism. But that's why, like, in theory, the Constitution is, okay. He did. Racism, bigotry, violations of the constitutional rights, which has led to racism. That was my point. Trump has never delivered on a thing that does not violate the Constitution. So, yeah, like, I love to watch Fox be like, Mamdani can't deliver on this. Kathy Hochul says she won't raise taxes. Okay. He said, if I could do this, this is what I could do. And ironically, he was trying to help people, and Trump's like, hey, I'm going to do all these things. I'm going to lower grocery prices. I'm going to do all these things. All he's done is the actual exact opposite. So I guess really what I was going to, and I was not trying to do, is like, miss me with the Mom Dummy can't do this. Trump did the opposite of what he promised you all, and you guys are still. And get a pair of Gavin Newsom knee pads, because it's gotta hurt to be on your knees this long. Justifying a pathological liar stealing from you. So whilst you're on your knees, let's consider that. Mom Dami saying, this is what I would like. Or Obama saying, hey, Medicare for all, universal health care is my vision. And then it being chopped up by Republicans who don't want kids, don't want brown people, don't want black people going to the doctor is very different than Donald Trump saying, hey, I'm lowering prices on day one. I'm going to stop all the wars. Okay, more than 9 wars have been started. I said I stopped them, and then immediately after, all of these countries continued the wars. But I done everything I done promised, I swear. And grocery, I went to a grocery store, and I had to get an apple out of the freezer. Did you guys know that? Apples are in freezers. And then I got that apple out of the freezer, and I tried to check out with it, and it was super expensive. I'm only doing this to point out the difference. I can't wait for you guys to try to be like, Mom Dami Mom Dami couldn't deliver on anything he wanted because some other horrible person stopped him, versus Trump being like, I'm a pathological liar who is effing over farmers. I just gave $40 billion to Argentina while farmers are going out of business and prices for all foods rise in the United States. If you can't figure out the difference, which I get it, 99% of MAGA cannot, something's wrong with your brain. It was the fridge, Felice. Yeah, that's true. He went he got an apple out of the fridge. That's true. And he's like, there are these things called groceries. It's like, oh dear God, we don't need to die now. Like, let's never compare Mom Dummy to like creepy Trump who couldn't find his way out of a paper bag if his life depended upon it. Later, Gators, I've got a